Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hyrule Chronicles. I forget the episode number, I think it's 35, 36?
36.
36, yes. I am the GM ArticulateT, and with me, as always, I have playing Renji, heir of Nihilus, TheNetherlad.
Hello, and welcome.
I have Alvarance playing Hikan Sio.
Hello.
I have Robopirate playing Ziden Shari.
Hello.
And playing Max, I have Keistrith.
Hi.
So, what happened last time, friendos?
Well, last time on Hyrule Chronicles, we arrived in the port town of Sarkosa, and we were trying to find some lodgings. We basically entered the closest pub, which had a Goron being thrown out, and then just happily striding back in. So that was interesting. We discovered that this guy was a regular there, and there were some sailors who were picking on him and were not very nice. So Hikan challenged them to a drinking game to drink some Goron rot, which, for the people who have not been paying attention, is basically industrial strength chemicals that will knock someone on their ass if they are not Goron. So that was fun, and we made a friend. We also made another friend, a guy who's not really a friend, but more an employer, and we are now employees of this guy for the moment, because he has lost his ledgers, and we are going to find those ledgers by killing a fiend with a boomerang. So now we have 2 boomerangs! I am excited about the boomerangs. And that is where we left off.
Okay. So, that is pretty much correct. We rejoin our heroes back in the marshy area just to the north of Sarkosa, where you had only just recently felled the Goriah that had supposedly stolen the ledgers, and you also managed to recover his boomerang. I believe Ziden, in giant elk form, was in the process of carrying you over the marshy bog in order to get to the cave that this Goriah had stepped out of.
Yes.
Okay. Put this one on. Alright, so the bog itself it's unpleasantly cold for giant elk Ziden as he trudges through. However, his size allows him to get the others across and onto the opposing shore where this cave lies without too much incident. On the other side, you see that there is what appears to be a fairly small cave entrance, around about 7 foot in height and equally as wide. And despite it being fairly dark on the inside, you can see the back of it quite clearly almost, so it's not terribly deep from what you can see.
Ziden shall stop being a giant elk.
I'm gonna cautiously step inside.
As you head inside, you can see that it was quite clear that if the Goriah had made its home here, he hadn't been around for terribly long. There are no decorations or even a bed. It appears that there is just a random pile of stuff that is propped up, like pushed back against one of the walls. And the rest of it is just rock and mud. And maybe a few twigs or bones of small animals.
And since we saw a trap outside, I'm gonna do a quick check around to see if there's any traps.
Okay.
I'll help with that.
Make an investigation roll with advantage.
That's a 9.
That is a 9.
Oof. At least it's not a natural one,
So you kind of...
which it could have been.
you kind of have a pad around and a poke with your staff to see if there's anything lying beneath the mud in the cave, or if there's any like false ceilings or anything like that. But you don't believe you can find any traps, if there are any.
Nope, I didn't find any. Time to go look for stuff.
I also want to check out the stuff to make sure that, like, we find the ledges that we're supposed to find here,
Right.
or we're supposed to find.
Let's search your stuff.
Make an investigation roll.
I will help whoever wants it.
God damn it!
I have
That's a 6.
+2 on investigation.
I'm doing so well, you guys.
Ziden's all like, my legs are so cold.
Yeah.
18? Would that help?
Okay. So the three of you kind of begin work. Max, you kind of like, as you're maneuvering through all the stuff, you like put your hand into the pile, and then you feel something cold and squelch, and then you just stop. And it's just no. Ziden, as you say, you kind of begin searching, but then your legs are cold, so you stop for a moment to kind of rub them down to warm them up and dry them off from the murk. And Renji, as you kind of search through, you find that the majority of what's contained within this assortment of gubbins, as it were, it's mainly just random stuff that holds next to no value. Like when you first examine it, there's some 3-day-old bread and like some scraps of clothes that might have been stolen from a washing line. Really, the only thing that you find of value is, in fact, the ledgers that you have been told to get, which are marked with claws, but they do appear to be the very books that you have been asked to look for. And
I was about to just like throw stuff around around the room in frustration that I didn't find the ledges, and then finally I just we found them. It's cool. Let's head back. I don't think there's anything of value safe for these things.
yeah.
All right.
Also, who has the boomerang?
That's a good question. Who had the boomerang?
Because I want a boomerang.
I'm fine with Renji having the boomerang. I can't use it.
I have my own boomerang, so I don't need another one.
I literally wrote a note in my character sheet of the only thing from last session, which was in all caps, boomerang! !
I guess you picked it up then.
Yes.
Okay. So you now have a boomerang. It appears to be of a cobalt color. It is fine metal with the inner curve being bladed. It is rather nicely forged, all things considered. And it kind of it's lightweight despite being fairly sizable for a boomerang.
You cut out there a little bit.
Oh, but yeah, it's lightweight, like surprisingly lightweight for effectively a bent piece of metal, which is about say 3 feet in length, even with the curve.
Okay. Nice.
When we get back, should we follow the tracks where they came from to see if we can figure out where they were summoned, since he doesn't know who did it?
True. I wish we had Show here. He would probably know more about magics to figure out where something like that could come from.
Maybe there's a magic person in town we can ask.
Hey Mara, what do you know about Garaya?
And she kind of takes a look over her book. and we'll make an Arcana roll. She gets a 12. But there we go. Apparently the dice rolls weren't updating on the stream screen. But yeah, with a 12, she kind of looks over a book and then kind of like shoulders slump in frustration slightly, and she says, "Not much. Only that they, without direction, they usually like causing chaos. They don't really appear with pomp or circumstance like other demons do. They usually just turn up."
Alright then. Well, either way, I'm not gonna find out too much more here. We should take these back to Mr. Fairwind and figure out what to do from there.
Yeah, I'll put them in the bag of holding. That way, you don't have to slow down. These are heavy.
They are fairly heavy. There's like 4 books in total, and they're all essentially the size of a D&D manual.
Oh, in that case, it's not very heavy.
Together they might be.
Speaking
Is
of...
it the weight of a core rulebook Pathfinder? Normal weight, normal size, not pocket.
Let's also remember that they have gold filigree, the densest metal, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's gold filigree, and they're around about the size of, let's say, 4th edition rule books. And the only reason why I say that is because I had to carry 4 4th edition rule books up a hill in my first year of university every day.
In the snow.
Wait, every day?
Yeah.
You got busy.
I was really into D&D back then.
That's fair.
It's when I got started.
That's totally valid.
Shame it was 4th edition.
It was a shame it was 4th edition.
There are good things in it, but just different things.
Yeah. But anyway, with the books in tow, you put them in the bag of holding, and you make your way back to Sarkosa. And thankfully, as you go, the journey was about as uneventful as it was on the way up. You make some pretty good time now that you know your way back, and as you go along, you arrive back in Sarkosa within about an hour and a half worth of journey, making it about just gone midday. As you arrive, having oh wait, hold on, no, it's a bit later than that. It's going to be about early afternoon, because your day started effectively outside of town and you wandered in.
True. Should we head to Sir Fairwind immediately, or do you have anything else to do?
Do we know where he lives?
I think
would
we've been
imagine
to his
he'd
place.
be at his office or whatever they're called still. Or we can at least get a hold of someone that knows how to get a hold of him.
Very true.
I think seeing him first would be a good idea, and I didn't think about it until we were about halfway to the Garaya, but I could ask Rodo if he knows anything about this, and Hikan flips the dagger again because he's bored.
Fair.
He's walking.
Yeah. Okay. So as you re-enter the borders of Sarkosa Port Town, what do you do? What's the plan?
I suggest I vote going straight to the guy.
To Fairwind.
Okay. So you wander back through, and thankfully you are going past the trading company office houses as you do, and sure, like quickly enough, you find your way back to the Fairwind Trade Company building, which stands proudly atop the small cliff above the port. and as you kind of head in through the door, there is you notice this on the first time you came in, but there is a desk next to the door, and a thin, prim and proper gentleman with slicked back hair and kind of like with a very practiced posture, looks over and says, "Oh, hello. How might I assist you today? Welcome to the Fairwind Trading Company. Do you have business here?"
Yes, we have. And I take one of the ledgers out of the bag of holding it up. We were tasked by Sir Fairwind to retrieve some of his belongings.
Oh, I see. Excellent. Very well. If you head up to the first floor, there is an office there that he is currently occupying. He mentioned something about there being a theft, and he didn't want to disturb the crime scene. If that makes sense.
Fair enough. Well then, I suppose we better make sure that he gets these.
Of course. Oh, and before you go, and he takes out a big leather book to one side and turns it and then presents you with like a quill next to and an ink pot and says, it is a standard protocol. If you would be so kind as to mark the guest book so that we know who has come in and who has left.
I look over at the rest.
That's looking at like, what even is that?
Do we need to like sign in individually or just like
Individually, if possible. If otherwise, a name plus company would be perfectly fine. Just put your name here, signature here, time of day visiting here, and the date. And then when you are on the way out, put the time here and the date here.
What's the date?
And there's like the reception.
I look over at the guy, I look over at Max, back to the guy.
The receptionist kind of has like a pitying look on his face, but also kind of struggling as how he can explain the concept of dates to Max.
Ziden, take out a small fruit. Place it on the piece of paper. There we go. A date.
That's not exactly what I mean.
Well, Ziden's making puns, and everyone is having a difficult time on explaining it. Just Hikan's trying not to hyperventilate in the corner from too much overload. What does he mean, a signature? What the hell is that?
We signed the thing back when Simeon hired us. Remember?
Hikan did not sign, he wrote his name. But this person wants a name and a signature.
I mean, if it's... I don't mind, like, signing for us, but we kind of need a name, and I don't think we have one.
As a group?
Yeah.
I mean, we are here as a squad in my dad's name, but...
Well, from what I understand, standard business protocol within Hyrule Castle is mainly just to call you the task force or the troop or something along those lines. But in certain situations like this, I feel that maybe more colloquial name might be worth going for. I don't know. What do you have any preferences on names?
I bet Renji has like read like fiction of like companies and mercenary bands and stuff. So immediately like I want a epic name then, but he looks at Hikan and Max and Ziden. I don't know if that fits.
I think I should be insulted.
No, you shouldn't.
Just gonna squint.
If you're going to be wanting to speak to Lord Fairwind, I would be most advisory that you expedite this decision, even if you don't have a party moniker or a company name. Then just one of your names plus friends or acquaintances or whatever it is to put down in the book for now. This seems like something that you should discuss at length, perhaps.
Renji takes up the quill and writes his name, and then just +4.
Okay. And as you finish going through the thing, the receptionist gently takes the book and puts it to one side and says, "Thank you. Now, as said, if you head up to the first floor, there is a clearly marked office door where Lord Fairwind will be presiding. Thank you very much."
Thank you.
You know from, like, noble etiquette that it's weird that this guy is calling him Lord Fairwind, despite the fact that this guy is not a nobleman, he's just rich.
Right. I'm imagining that Sarkosa is different in that aspect.
Possibly. I mean, it's a Hylian territory.
I'm
it's
not gonna
like
fucking know.
It's not like a independent city-state. It's just, yeah. It's a bit weird. Is all.
All right. Well, I bet we better join. And I pointedly say, Sir Fairwind. In his office. And I just...
Can we start moving now?
Yeah. Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay. So you proceed upstairs and around the corner along the landing, and you find that, as I said, the building is remarkably big. So even as you get up to the first floor, you see that there is another set of stairs nearby that head up to another floor. But from where you are, you have a look around and you find that there is indeed a very clearly marked door with like a very elaborate looking sort of frame, and there are some gold letterings on it that indicate that this is a office, or this is a administration office, as it were. The other ones just have very nondescript wooden doors to them.
I knock on the descript door, and I just go, "Excuse me, Sir Fairwind?"
Oh, yes. Hello, please do come in.
Open the door.
And you enter and you find that there are several desks in this room. A couple of people are kind of hurriedly going through some notes of paper and signing things off, and one is standing next to a wall with a massive globe chart on it. You can see on this chart in particular that there is a large continent to the southwest that you recognize as being Hyrule, or the continent on which Hyrule resides, but there is a lot of landmass around it, both to the north and the south and the east, that have yet to be explored or properly charted. And across the water to the southwest and the northwest appear to be two more continents, which you would assume to be Holodrum and Labrina, and there's just other areas that seem to be swaths of blank that suggest that there are areas that haven't really been properly explored yet. But as you as you sit and as you enter, you see that Lord Fairwind, or Sir Richard Fairwind, is sitting at a desk, and he's rather calmly going through some notes. And on either side of the desk, flanking it appropriately, are his two guard creatures, the guard drakes, sitting at attention as they always are.
I take from the bag of holding the first ledger, put it down, second, put it down, third, fourth. Just stack them.
He looks over and you see a smile grows underneath his big mustache, and he has a look over them and says, "Oh, absolutely brilliant! Thank you. I am amazed that you managed to find them so quickly, let alone find them at all. Usually when things go missing in Sarkosia, they don't turn up at all."
Turns out Garai is sloppy about leaving tracks.
True.
A Garai, you say?
Indeed. Are you familiar with these creatures?
Vaguely, from stories told, I suppose. But for the most part, I feel that it's still surprising that not only would one appear, but also one appear and steal from someone. Usually stories I hear, them of more of the killing variety.
This one seemed to have a knack for the act of stealing. It seems to be more of a kleptomaniac, based on what we saw in the cavern that he made us about.
It seemed like he was bored.
Possibly. Very well. Well, I shall not delay you any further. And he leans down and opens a drawer and brings out a small wooden chest, which when he opens it and begins sorting out, sorting through some coinage, which he eventually provide like.
As he's doing that, Max is gonna point at the glove and say, "Why is that map weird? Why is it on a pole?"
Oh, that is a map of the world, as it stands. There are a lot of places all over the world, you see. There's down there, and it's on the opposite side of the room, so it's difficult to really tell from a glance, but down there you see that is a continent we reside on. We don't have a proper name for it. The only developed kingdom, as far as we are aware, is us, but we could be wrong. We haven't heard from the Vulcan Republic for centuries, so it's difficult to tell. But down there we have our continent, and then over there is Librinia, and over there is Holodrum. They hold societies that are our main trading partners, at least for now.
Okay. Big.
Were you more asking why it is round?
Yeah, is that what it's supposed to look like?
Well,
I suppose. I mean, we would assume as much, because the horizon curves. At least that's what we've noticed, but,
Oh, okay. I interrupted things, didn't I?
No, it's fine.
Sorry.
I will admit I will need to do some recounting, but by all means. And then he takes the stacks of coins and then counts out 200 gold pieces, which he then slowly pushes towards all of you and says, well, as he closes the chest, I believe 200 as promised.
Yep.
good. Thank you. And pleasure doing business.
It's good to know that there are individuals out there who are competent, compassionate, and, effective.
Is there anything else you may need some help with?
Well, not at the moment. I would ask if you could look into this little incident we're having with the mists, but I feel that is outside of our ken at the moment. We've had some of our best guards disappear from the when attempting to investigate the mists. There's a lot of problems involved with it, and I'm not sure if you have the capabilities of dealing with it by yourselves, at least.
Perhaps. I'm curious to ask the local guards what they know about this situation.
Worth a go.
But well, thank you for your payment, and if there's nothing else, then I think we'll make our departure.
Very well. It was good doing business with you, as you say, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of your time here in Sarkosa.
Well, thank you.
And he offers a bow, like a slight bow, and then he returns to his desk work.
Hikan sticks back from the group a second and has the hilt of the dagger showing. And Mr. Fairwind, I'm sorry to bother you, but does this symbol look familiar by chance?
He takes a glance at it, and like it's difficult to say. He kind of just squints at it slightly and says, "Well, it is an impressively forged dagger, that is for certain. But any meaning behind it is lost on me, I'm afraid."
Okay. I figured I'd ask. It was part of a thing that we came here to take care of, and it's one of the few clues we have, so thank you.
Okay, well, that's perfectly fine. I do wish you luck in your quest in that regard.
And thank you. And Hikan will follow the party out.
Okay. He returns to his work. And do you guys leave the building?
Did you want to follow the Goria's tracks to see where it was summoned from, or talk to the guards first?
Sounds like a good idea. I think we can talk to the guards whenever. The tracks might get muddled.
Okay.
Go and follow these tracks.
Yeah. So you head out. I suppose that. Do you stop at the reception desk in order to sign out as well, or?
I'll just make a small note.
Okay. So the receptionist thanks you. He says, "Thank you all very much for coming. Enjoy the rest of your day."
And you, good day at work, I suppose.
And you proceed to leave. As you do, you have, as I said, you have a variety of areas in Sarkosa, but you're looking for guards. And as said, or as it is a active port town, there are a large variety of guards in different places. So it doesn't take you long to find one guard who is kind of standing idly on the corner of the street where those where the trading company buildings are. And he looks over and, or when you approach him, he gives a nod, raises the hand with his spear in it, as if to say, hi. Yeah, he says, how can I help you?
We're recent travelers coming to Sarkosa Port, and we've heard some disturbing things about curfews and strange mist.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, those things that you've heard are not exactly, well, not wrong. We've tried to send a couple runners down to Hyrule Castle Town to see if we could get some help with them, but they've never been coming back, which is really quite disturbing. But
How many runners, actually?
it's about a 3-day journey. This has been happening for about a week and a half, so we've sent at least 2.
You cut out on the number.
Oh,
Yeah.
We've sent out at least 2.
2. And what kind of interval?
Well, as said, we expect the runner to... We've told the runners explicitly that they should head to Hyrule Castle Town and then head back immediately. A round trip would usually be about 4 days at the earliest with a horse, but they haven't really been coming back. So we sent out another one, and truthfully, we're still waiting for him to come back, but...
How long ago was that?
It was about 3 days. He left in the early morning. So, if anything, he should be arriving today, if he doesn't stop.
That...
If you make general intelligence checks, all of you, to think back about that piece of information. 7, 5, 12.
But Ziden got a 21.
Yeah, Ziden got a 21. Ziden, it occurs to you that you hadn't really encountered anybody, like any kind of runner, coming from Sarkoza on the way up. Like, you've seen like 1 or 2 supposedly merchant folk, or at least you think they were merchant folk, but this whole mist situation, it hasn't been a rumor that you've heard of while you're in Hyrule Castle Town, and honestly, if there was one runner on horseback going as fast as they could get to Hyrule Castle Town, they would have probably spotted you, a group of people who more than likely looked quite like adventurers, and would have stopped to ask for help, but you haven't found them.
We didn't even encounter anyone on our way towards town, so perhaps they never got that far.
That's really concerning. That means that there's some...
Hikan turns around and goes back into Mr. Fairwind's trading company.
You should probably tell your boss about that.
Yeah, I think I will. As you, Hikan, you turn around, you go back in, the receptionist, hello, yes, good evening, sir, or afternoon, it's a long day at work.
Understandable. It's so it's not the Bell guys and it's not you guys. The other trading company, the Zephyr guys.
Yes.
Did they leave before or after the mist came in? Their ship, because I remember that they didn't have one in port.
Oh, well, I don't know if they're still within the building, but rumor has it that they've been hit rather hard by whatever's been going on with these mists, you see. There's been a, part of what's been happening with the mists is that ships have been broken into and cargo stolen before it could be deployed. They've been hit the hardest and have decided to close shop.
Oh, I thought they might have set sail. Okay, sorry to disturb you. Thank you.
Oh, no.
And I'll head back outside to the rest of the party.
Okay. So yeah, the guy says, yeah, I'll probably I'll probably talk to my superiors about that.
Might be a good idea, yes.
Right. Well, before I do that, is there anything that I can help you with at all?
Just like specifics. What did we? When did the mist come up specifically? Was there any events occurring before that may have caused it, or like any suspicious things? I realized that Renji's really like asking very specific questions that like regular travelers probably wouldn't.
He kind of tilts his helmet up in order to scratch his head as he contemplates the questions, and he says, "Well, truth be told, I was transferred here like a day after the mists began, and really, when it comes down to it, I'm not terribly sure. The best person to ask, I think, would be Mayor Turnier. She lives in a house within the upper parts of town." And he gives you directions. It says she's been mayor for several years and usually has her ear to the ground on most things. So, if anything, you've got that. Alternatively, if you're thinking it, the person who sees the most people go in and out of the town, at least by the standards of boats, you'll want to speak to Gregorio. He's the portmaster.
Thank you.
No problem.
Glance over at the rest. Does anyone else have questions?
No.
Okay, then, how do you guys feel about meeting the mayor?
What's
Are you going to do the talking?
Well, if no one else is.
You've just volunteered.
Hey, Ziden. Can you summon more, like, really fast birds?
Yes?
Cause I was thinking that if people are walking and they end up not getting to where they're going, would you know when, like, your birds vanish or something?
I should probably call back the other ones and see if they found anything interesting.
Okay. So you kind of raise your hand, and a flock of 8 seagulls just like this cacophony of noise. The guard that you're with is just like, I won't ask how you do that. I've got to go speak with my boss, so I'll leave you to it. All right, bye. And it's kind of like
Bye, Mr. Guardman.
stumbles off. Your birds have uncovered not terribly useful information. They note that the place is still a fairly busy port town, though the amount of people leaving is disproportionately smaller than the amount of people entering, at least by foot. You also get information that there are a much larger number of people who are visibly armed in Sarkosa than, at least compared to Hyrule Castle Town. And not all of them look like mercenaries. Like, you notice a couple of people who look like should be regular commoners are armed with short swords or a mace or a crossbow or something along those lines.
Ziden will relay the findings of his bird.
There's one guy in particular, actually, somewhere near some of the markets, that appears to be significantly better armed than others. He doesn't look like a guard either. the birds don't give you the exact details on the weapon he's wielding, he's very well equipped.
Then I think we shall go find him at some point. I guess let's go.
It's fair.
We could do.
The reason why I asked about the birds is if people are having issues leaving on foot, you could send your birds out, and if you knew if they vanished or something, then we'd know that that the mist doesn't let people out.
Not sure that they can get as far as Pirate Castle Town, but they can certainly go in that direction.
It was, what, a couple hours where we camped and we saw the mist? Out of town?
Yeah. Like
Just to the edge.
It seemed to burn away with the dawn's light.
So, I mean, I think that it wouldn't go all the way to Castletown, just to where we camped last night.
A different question is it only stopping people leaving during the night or at day as well?
How far away is the guard that went to go get his boss?
He's about... by this point, he's about 50 feet away.
Oh, neat. That's my movement speed.
Poor guy.
So, yeah, I run up to him and... sorry.
Hi.
One more quick question. The person that you... the runners, you called them? That you sent out?
Yeah.
What time of day did you send them out?
Well, the first one went about midday, and the one after that went at the crack of dawn.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. And then I run back to the party and relay that information.
You don't even hear him, like, say goodbye. He paused to contemplate what just happened, and there's
Perhaps.
bye.
Perhaps assuming that the fog is intentionally made by someone, then that someone also has other minions that were stopping runners. We could attempt to disguise someone as a runner, send them off, and then back them up.
I volunteer.
You're too fast. That'd be awkward.
I can slow down. And like Hikan comically just moves really slowly.
Are you any good at, lying?
I'm good at giving performances. People think I'm drunk all the time.
He's got a point.
Something to consider then. I mean, what if it's somebody who's in the, like, if it is something malicious like that, maybe it's someone who's in the actual, or is aware of the guard rotation. I mean, speaking from experience, sending a runner out isn't exactly something that you'd share with the entire town, is it?
Plus, we still don't know what happens in town when mist hits. Yeah, we haven't seen that.
I suggest that's something we should do. Retire to a room and maybe stake out what happens during the night. Keep each other and watch and make sure that nothing bad happens to each other.
Sounds good. Whilst the fog is coming for town, I can send up another set of birds to look around.
Wait. The fog's really thick and people can't see, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about bats?
Yeah, that would work better.
I wonder if my eyesight will be obscured.
Actually, yeah, and as far as I'm aware, it doesn't have to all be the same. So it could
Why
be...
would it? Why wouldn't it be?
I've eaten my vegetables as a kid.
Is that a reference to something?
Apparently, if you eat your vegetables, you keep your eyesight really well. If Max wants to see if I'm bluffing.
I don't know if he'd actually be able to know.
I'm so sorry. You seem to have picked up my dice curse.
Ah!
Should I roll deception for that? Because I do have a +7.
Maybe you'll get a 1.
Maybe you'll get a natural 1.
But then I still have an 8.
It's still a natural 1 though.
Yeah.
19.
There you go.
I just have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Which makes sense.
And
Yeah.
Renji just goes on a completely just truthless rant about how eating vegetables is said to increase eyesight.
That's just like, can I eat vegetables? I don't. What?
I think you do eat vegetables with, I mean, Ziden having making dinner in the wilderness.
The truth be told, does
Vegetable,
good berry count
food,
as a vegetable?
mushrooms.
Is it one of your 5 a day?
It's not the only thing he has ever eaten.
Also, good berry is 5 of your 5 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfectly nutritious.
You know,
Okay.
Alright. So what is the plan? What's your next step?
go investigate the super armed man, maybe?
We got Portmaster that we can talk to see if it's just people on foot. We've got the mayor that we can talk to about things. We've got super armed man, and then the thing that Hikan wants to do, see if he can find Rodo to ask him about the dagger symbol. Because he made a friend.
Mm-hmm. I say, Maya.
Alright.
Okay, we can do the mayor. Get official sanction. Maybe we'll get fancy badges.
Hmm.
Hikan knows none of that means. That's not in character.
Okay. So you go and speak to no, not Fancy Art. You speak to the mayor. Sorry. For some reason, I've had like super armed man stuck in my head now.
Super armed man.
Yeah.
Plot twist: the super armed man is really a woman and is the mayor.
Oh. And also the boardmaster.
Very
Oh,
busy.
one person. Very busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that person from Wind Waker with the cutouts.
Yeah.
Sploosh kaboom.
Yeah. Oh dear. But yeah, you head through town using the directions that the guard had given you, and you find your way to a fairly quaint little cottage, which is kind of situated amongst a circle of buildings. It's pretty humble compared to everything else, at least. And it doesn't appear to be guarded either.
Well then, I will try and like make his appearance properly. Just show the proper etiquette, as far as that is possible for our group.
I'm going out the door.
Okay. So you knock on the door, and from his side there is a coming. Hold on. And eventually the door opens, and you see an elderly woman who seems at first glance to be kind of a rough and tumble sort of person. Like, not what you would expect out of a mayor. They, despite leaning on a cane, they stand straight with an almost military posture, and their white hair is tied back into a neat, professional bun. And her grey eyes kind of look over all of you with like a quick, practiced assessment.
What did the guard say her name was again?
Maya Turnia.
Turnia. Maya Turnia, I presume?
Yes, I am indeed Maya Turnia. And who might I be playing host to today?
It is good to meet you. My name is Renji Vox, son of Nihilus Vox. These here are Hikan Sio, originally from Kakariko Town, Ziden Shari, also from Kakariko Town, and Max. What was Max's last name again? This is out of character, by the way, because Renji knows Max's last name. I think.
Yes, Light Wind.
Sorry? Might Wind, yes. And this is Max Mightwind.
I'm not from anywhere.
Right, and who would you be? And Mara pipes up and says, "Oh, hi.
Oh, darn it! I forgot where I'm sorry. No.
I'm Mara Fletcher. I a scholar and I guess scribe for the royal family." And Meta goes, "Oh, yes, interesting. It would be rude of me to keep you outside even on this lovely day. But please, come on in." And she turns around and heads back into her home, turning a corner immediately to guide you into a living room.
Ziden pats Mara on the shoulder and says, "It's okay, you forget somehow."
I only forget NPCs!
Racist.
Jesus Christ. Alright.
Racists towards non-player characters, yes.
So you all head inside, and the living space that is provided is fairly homely. There are a couple of very comfy-looking sofas and a nice large wingback chair, which the mayor immediately heads to and sits in. As she sits down, she says, "Do forgive me for not providing tea. Sadly, my stocks have run dry, and my attendant has taken a much-deserved vacation, so I've had to make do for the most part. Please, take a seat."
Don't bother for our sake. We're here to discuss some matters that we've found in our short stay here. Tell me, what can you tell us about the mists?
The mists? Well, the mists. Very interesting question. Might I ask, however, you are all out of towners, from what I can tell. What interest do you have in the mists? Not many people who come in from into Sarkosa from out of town take such vested interest in it. They usually just nod when the guards say people need to be in by sunset.
Well, I don't suppose people tend to. I don't suppose people tend to be on official business from the crown often. This is something.
So we're talking about it now.
Well, in front of the mayor, yes, we are.
The crown,
Right.
you say? That would explain the young lady's presence with you. I must ask, could I be provided with the details of your task?
I do not wish to go into details of the specifics just yet. There is much to be done here, and
We're tracking bad guys.
That's the gist of it, yes. However, with this mist coming up over the city, it is remarkably similar to something that we've experienced before. That wind paired with the sight of monsters. And I was wondering if that was something that you've heard about.
Hikan raises his hand.
Yes, Hikan?
Miss Mayor, do you have many people that do magic?
Magic. Yes and no. We don't have any formal mages in our little area, but I am privy to the knowledge that there are tradesmen in this town of ours that have traded via sea magical items. Most of the trading companies do, with the exception of the Brass Bell Company, of course. They are more down-to-earth supplies, materials, food, that sort of thing. I think the person in charge of that company isn't exactly fond of magic in his own way.
Well, the reason why I asked was because last night we camped outside of town because it was getting really late, and one of our company has this thing where he can see magic, and when we saw the mist, he did the thing, and the mist seemed to have some magical quality to it too. That's part of the reason why we're interested in it. Because if it's a magic mist, that means someone's doing something.
Yeah. Well, it would explain a lot, I suppose. I shall give you as many details as I possibly can, though, to be frank, I have not been an eyewitness to many of the things that have occurred in my poor little town. And truthfully, having some level of expertise or someone willing to take care of it would be very helpful. But anyway, about a week and a half ago, one evening, a thick fog rolled in from the sea, seemingly. From what we understood, we weren't expecting anything like it, and usually fogs of that nature, yes, they have taken the port beforehand, but it's usually something that occurs from being a port town at sea. It is something that occurs overnight and usually burns away by midday. It's this was a bit different. This one spread over the entire town, with the fog so thick you could barely see 5 feet in front of you. People were out and about at that time, and truthfully, when it was only this weather phenomena, they didn't pay too much attention to it. The curfew was only instated after the following morning, when 5 bodies were found at seemingly random places around town. 4 of the galleons that had docked in the port had been ransacked and the majority of their wares stolen, including magical items that may have come in that day. When the fog rolled in again that same evening, I had given the all clear to the guard captain to tell the rest of his men to make sure everyone was inside, which worked. No more bodies were found the next day, but the galleons were still ransacked. It's been like that for the last week and a half now. We don't know what causes it, but we know that being out on the street at night during the fog is dangerous.
And these thefts, have they been occurring every night?
Every night. most of the boats that are docked in the harbour overnight are searched thoroughly. And it doesn't matter what size the boats are. It could be a rowboat for all they care. They will find anything left behind and they will take it.
And any ideas about who they may be?
Well, after some research, it had been determined that what had killed the 5 individuals on the first night was something akin to a beast. They had been clawed, eviscerated. There was nothing remotely human or sapient, I guess, about it. There was no evidence of it being combat or with a sword or anything. It was just brutality.
Was it like a dog type of beast? Or a wolf?
We're not sure. No one's had a clear idea on what they were. We just know that there's more than one.
We ran into a Goriah that had been stealing stuff.
A Goriah?
Said it'd been summoned, but didn't know who did it, and he hadn't been given any orders. But he'd just been stealing things.
Things that were not of any value, it seemed, save for...
We didn't find any magic stuff there.
That is true, yes.
I see. We have sent runners out. I don't know if anything has come of that yet.
We've heard of the guard that the runners have not yet returned.
We also didn't see anybody on our way here.
Right. Well, I suppose before I ask what it is that you think might be able to be done, I cannot neglect the fact that you are here for a reason. And if you were not contacted by a runner, that means you must be here for other reasons in their own right. So, what brings you to Sarkoza?
We're looking for a friend.
Before we say anything else, I must ask, where does your loyalty lie?
My loyalty?
Yes. And I understand this is a very direct question, but it is important that we know.
She kind of squints her eyes at you. Says, well, my loyalties lie with Sarkoza and the Kingdom of Hyrule in that order. I've grown attached to these people. And while I have no objections to being the designated trading area for a largely landlocked capital, if I was forced to choose between the king and the people who live here and work here and have done so for all their lives, I will happily stand beside my town. Does that answer your question?
It somewhat does, yes.
I can understand that with the Civil War still technically happening within the West, things are rather tense. But I have no interest in conflict, lest it is to save my people.
As far as I know, there is no ill will between Castletown and Sarkosta at this time, and we will do our very best to figure out what is going on here with the mists, these disappearances, these early on murders. I glance over at Ziden, wondering if I should explain more thoroughly. Because the answer that the mayor has given me is somewhat iffy.
Would it be an insight check to get just kind of a general read
Yeah.
on the mayor? Like, I'm not trying to see if she's lying or anything. It's just, it's
Yeah,
more putting something like
Yeah.
showing a little bit of my hand is like,
Yeah.
does she seem like a good person to do that to, kind of thing. A 25.
Nice.
You could tell from this point that the question that has just been asked of her has clearly changed the tone in the room. Mayor Turnier appears to be a woman who is kind of very much standing her ground, and she's acting all business, or at least she had some level of amiability about her, but that seems to have kind of disappeared at the question of her loyalty to the Kingdom of Hyrule. But you can tell that her answer was as frank and honest as she seems to have been over the course of this conversation. Yeah.
Is there a chair?
There are 2 sofas and a chair. The chair she is sitting in at the moment.
So Hikan will sit in one of the sofas.
Yeah.
Mara, Ziden, what do you think? Is this person trustworthy?
As I said,
her trustworthiness. 20.
You pretty much get the same read that Hikan did.
As I said, a friend of ours went missing, a very close friend. And the only clue that we have is this. And Hikan will pull out the dagger and hold it out hilt up, so that way it's the symbol is apparent. We also found a ranch hand from Lon Lon Ranch that had a pendant with the same symbol, who said he was working on making weird horses for a noble in the area, I think is what he said.
Not esteem and horses, right?
Something like that.
Which shows nightmares.
And Renji, my friend, means well, but he's a very careful person, and I don't think he meant it in a harsh way. It was an odd question to ask, but he just wants to make sure we're making the right decision.
Well, if we are playing open-handed, cards on the table, Mayor Turnier, the king is dead. The daughter of the king is missing. We are here to find out if there's a greater underlying conspiracy, which is why I asked for your loyalties. That is not to cast aspersions on you, but this is information that, if it's brought into the public in an improper way could cause dissent.
I see. And she kind of like, there's little change in her expression, even when you say that the king is dead. But she kind of contemplates the news and says, well, that is unfortunate. From what I've been told, the man was a good king. And this is no doubt a very difficult time. The kingdom, as far as I am aware, over the history of Sarkoza existing here, has not done any of us wrong in our existence. After all, the kingdom does rely on us in a capacity, and has treated us well in response. So even with the king dead, I doubt that our loyalties will change. Though I understand if you want to keep this information secretive, at least for the moment.
That is true. That is only my intention. That has been my only intention.
As far as that dagger is concerned, I don't...
Hikan will gesture for someone to put it on the desk if she would want a closer look at it.
I'll do it.
She will gently pick it up and examine it. She says, I haven't been able to see a symbol like this up close, but I have seen it before. A lot of different types of people wander in and out of Hyrule, of this port town of ours. I don't know its origins, and I don't know its purpose. But if this symbol is associated with individuals who are likely to involve themselves in nefarious deeds, especially magically inclined nefarious deeds, I have no doubt that there will be individuals within this town of ours, as much as I like it, who will also be just as nefarious and just as magical, who might also know what this symbol means. And since you've been so kind as to come to me, I am more than happy to allow you to ask around. And she puts the dagger back on the table.
Thank you.
I sigh and say, it was not my intention to put you on the defensive. It's... the last few days have been eventful in the most drastic and dreadful of ways.
Considering what I've just been told, I have no doubt that it has been difficult for you, and I can understand the question and the nature by which it has been asked. I stand by my answer, though. I am loyal to Sarkoza first and foremost, but I am still loyal to the kingdom of Hyrule, so long as it treats us well and does not see fit to cause us any harm.
As a addendum to my first question, if the ringleaders or the originators of the plan which resulted in the death of the king and the kidnapping of his daughter were to be citizens of Sarkosa, would we have your cooperation in apprehending and putting them on trial?
Of course. An illness does not make a person less of a person. It is why you have cures for diseases. If there are individuals within this town who call themselves citizens of Sarkosa who have colluded with this plot to kill the king and kidnap the princess and destabilize society as we know it, then, well, it is only right for us to cure the disease that has riddled my town.
I'm glad that you're in our corner, and I hope that we can be in yours.
As do I. Now, are there any other questions that you need to ask of me?
I don't believe so, not at this time. I do wish to thank you for the information you've given us.
Of course. I wish you luck in your searches. We shall do our best to help you in whatever way we can.
Thank you.
Well, I don't think I have to show you how to get out, of course.
No, that will not be required. But I do tell her where we're staying, just in case she wishes to get in touch.
Okay. Yeah. She thanks for the information and says that she will send someone over if she thinks of anything else that might be of use.
Good. That seems useful. And I am a bit wondering what to do next. I have no idea.
What does the rest of the party want to do? It is about mid-afternoon now.
We has
Super armed man.
super
Super
armed
armed
man,
man.
and we can ask Roto about the thing. He seems to be a man with an ear closer to the ground, so to speak. We can follow the Goria's tracks to where he was summoned, maybe? Who knows? I think that's all I got.
Also something about the Harbour Master.
Oh yeah, to see if it's by foot or by foot and by sea.
Okay. So which one do you want to do first?
Super armed man.
I mean, that seems what Robo Pirate and Keystrith are excited for. Don't know about Ziden and Max, but
Well, logically, we should try and get those tracks done today if we're going to do them at all.
True. Let's follow the tracks then.
Fair enough.
Okay. So you head out. You head back to the area in front of the Fairwind Trading Company. It's been a couple of hours. Make a survival check. Those who are looking for tracks.
Oh boy, I have to do a
Oh
roll.
boy.
all right.
At least double figures this time.
Yeah.
I'm average.
It's a 10.
Same here.
What is 17?
So, Ziden and Hikan, you both managed to find the tracks easy enough. And you begin to follow them backwards to see if you can find where they started. And truthfully, you don't really have to go far. After following them off the front garden of the building, you track them across the cobblestones about 15 feet away, and then they cease to exist.
All right, gang, let's look for clues.
Hey, make investigation checks, I guess.
Who wants help?
I want help.
Renji gets help.
That is a 20.
20,
For me.
okay.
9.
9 and a 10. Okay, so with the 20, Renji, with the aid of Hikan, you have a look around and you find that there is a little bit of residue here. It's kind of this weird sulfurous residue that seems imperceptible on the cobblestones where the footprints seem to end. But there's a nice big spot which, upon closer inspection, looks like something is kind of burned there. Like when you kind of lean down to swipe your finger against the stones, you find that it comes away and you've got like soot on your fingertips.
Is that something similar to what we've seen with fiends getting destroyed / banished to their home plane?
Make an Arcana roll. It'll be an easy one. Yeah.
16.
With a 16, yeah. Much in the same way as when they depart this plane, they usually arrive in a similar fashion. Since you know Gorias disintegrate in, like, piercing blue fire, you can determine that they probably burn into existence in a similar way.
And, like, where we are now, that's outside of town, correct?
No. Actually, the footprints seem to, if anything, the footprints seem to lead further in. It's just that the footprints themselves, I assumed you started at the window of the Fairwind building and then followed the tracks backwards, as opposed to following them forwards, which would lead out of town. Following them backwards would lead them 15 feet away from the Fairwind Company's front garden, and then you got this patch on the ground which may be where it spawned in to begin with.
Interesting, so it was specifically there. Perhaps targeting the Fairwind state.
What buildings are we nearby?
The buildings that are nearby are like rows of estate buildings that are tall and very well built. You know these to be the office buildings where the trading companies usually do their business and do their papers outside of tending to the ships as they come into harbour.
Is it are there any identifying markers right next to the building that has the sulfur spot next to it? Like, is it the Zephyrs or the Bells?
It's basically on the opposite side of the street, so it's not anywhere near the signage. You know that looking at it, you see that the Fairwind Trading Company is flanked on either side by two different trading companies. One of them being the Brass Bell, the other one being Zephyr's Favor.
Are there humanoid footprints approaching this particular spot?
Make a survival check.
A 16.
With a 16, you kind of have a look around. Besides the footprints that you get from typical traffic, it doesn't appear to be anything. Like, if anything, it appears that there are footprints of people who might have stood in the spawning zone and then kind of lead away from it, as if they have, like, completely oblivious to what they've just walked in.
Damn.
Found something?
Well, no. But judging... I don't know. It just seems kind of weird that they'd summon somebody like that and then just let him go.
Could be as a form of distraction. But to distract... What would the distraction be for?
I mean, if I was gonna make a distraction, I wouldn't sit there and not tell somebody to do something. I tell them to do something really noisy, not break into somewhere quietly or quickly, you know? Or I'd have them bake pies, because pies smell good and everyone likes pies.
That's fair. Will there be anything else that we spot so far as we're talking it through?
Make perception checks
Perception.
to kind of get a fully detailed lay of the land.
Fucking 8.
Well, I have a 25.
Okay.
Literally the highest I've rolled today is a 10.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Damn your dice, Chris.
I'm sorry. I'll probably have it back by the end of the week, I'm sure. But anyway, so with the 25 and the 21, you have a look around, and the general area that you are in is as such, or in greater detail. You are currently standing on a 7-foot wide cobblestone path that runs in front of a series of buildings that kind of line in a row. All the buildings themselves are at the very least 2 floors high. The Zephos's favor is actually one of those smaller buildings, while the others are 3 stories high. Built with this very kind of Gothic architecture. It appears that they do have attics, and the attics do have windows. The actual area that you are currently standing in has what appears to be a view of the harbour, standing on top of a cliff, which is about, from your estimate, 35 feet above where the port is. And it runs on a gentle slope that heads down and eventually reaches the center area that joins onto the harbor. Near the bottom, backed onto the cliff, you can see from here there are several warehouses from the looks of things. There is a lighthouse that you can see at the far opposite end of the harbor, and everything around here appears to be very well kept. Each of the buildings that have a trading house office area has a sign in front of it saying what trading house it belongs to, and it doesn't appear that each of the trading houses have more than one building assigned to them at a time. The actual trading company buildings themselves don't have guards posted outside their doors, and you can also see that on opposite ends of the street, you can see from where you're standing there is at least one guard posted at each end of the street at all times.
Heightened security because of the weather? Do you think there's something else?
Could be because of the break-in.
So you've summoned stuff before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you always know what you're gonna get?
I do.
Because maybe they were trying to bring in the big beast monster that the mayor talked about, but instead got a Goriah.
I walk over to one of the guards that's just down the street.
He turns around and says, "Hello, how can I help you?"
Hi, me and my party over there were hired to help Mr. Fairwind with his recent break-in, and I was wondering, did you see anybody suspicious that might have stood in the middle of the street near where they're standing, or anything like that?
Well, to be honest, no. I had a guard shift, at least this morning. I was aware that there was a broken window. The person I was replacing said so. But he didn't see anything either. He just said that there was a smash, and he looked over, and he saw that the window was broken. But he didn't see anybody enter or exit, and he also didn't see anything run by him. I mean, and he kind of gestures that between him and the actual window where the Goriah was supposedly broken through, there is at least 30 feet of clearance. But there's, I say 30 foot, there's actually much more than that. But he admits that they may have been really sneaky and just used the front gardens of each of the trading company buildings as cover while he himself went to investigate.
Right. So he heard a smash and then looked right after. And you guys don't do patrols in the night because of the mist, right? Okay. Thank you. And I also will go back and relay this information to the bar.
Okay. So,
Well, I think it was worth a shot, but I don't think we're gonna find out much here.
Fair enough. Good try. That was a good idea.
John nods, and since the mayor did mention about seeing the symbol, Hikan's gonna start wearing the dagger in his belt, kind of thing, with the symbol out, because he doesn't have a sheath for it. So.
okay. So Mara kind of looks around, says, "So, we have a demon that was summoned right here, but no indication as to who might have summoned it, or if they were present when it happened. And the guards didn't explicitly see the Goriah enter, but did hear a noise."
And yeah, he did say that he didn't see anybody standing around either, so.
Could we try and figure out if there's any other thefts in this area? Maybe the ledgers was a distraction for something else happening around here.
Well, we could ask some of the other trading companies.
Yeah,
There's this stuff about magic items, right?
true.
You guys do magic, right?
Sadly, my specific type of magic is not really investigative or subtle.
Speak for yourself.
Mine isn't.
Max spends all this time blowing things up.
Ziden's the only one with the utility magic.
I have
Ziden.
Mage Hand, that's it.
Yes.
If someone like Sebastian wanted to, like, I don't know, summon a bunch of birds for like a magic trick for selling pies or something, could you help with that? Like, give him something to do?
Not sure I could.
What about Mr. Uriel?
You could potentially make a trinket or a scroll.
What's a scroll?
It's a thing of paper with words on it.
You can encapsulate magic into paper and cast it from said magic. It usually consumes it, and it's a lengthy and costly process, but it is possible.
Also
Probably
that.
not of value for selling pies.
Probably not, but could you put your summon birds thingy
On
a scroll?
I don't actually know if druids can write scrolls.
That's a good question. Depending on the urgency of needing it, we could always work that out between sessions.
It's not an urgency thing. Hikan's trying to get people, or like Alvarance is asking, could someone put a scroll summon Garaya on the thing and then just have someone like throw the scroll down and walk away for a quick thing? But Hikan doesn't know how this stuff works.
Okay. I see, I understand now.
So, like, if you or Mr. Uriel could put the summon birds spell on a scroll, could I use?
I think that's in the original rules. The scrolls can only be used by spellcasters who could use them anyway, right?
Scrolls can be used by anybody, but it's a matter of having to actually read the scroll as opposed to throwing it down. Make an Arcana check, actually. Spellcasters who wish to make an Arcana check based on what they're hearing.
7.
Oh my god, a number!
Yeah!
Good number.
18, okay. Max, with your 18, you kind of think you understand the just... and with the 21 from Renji, the both of you think about it, and you feel like not necessarily a scroll, but having a spell linked to a specific action is possible. The spell that comes to mind for both of you would be something called Glyph of Warding, and you could put that in a small compartment thing so that it activates when a thing opens, and then you just kind of like say throw it down, and when it opens because it breaks, it activates the spell.
It is a possibility, definitely.
Do you think that might have been a way that the Garaya was summoned?
Definitely a possibility. Still seem to... I still fail to see how this... like, what the purpose for it is.
Maybe that's...
Was Sir Fairwind specifically targeted? Or...
Maybe that's something we can't find out here.
The 3 trading companies are right across from us, right?
Yeah.
Just like yeah, so maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was just a trading company. Well. My brain hurts. I've been doing a lot of thinking today.
I mean, yeah, you gotta take it easy. You need some alcohol to go with that?
Maybe a nightcap. I think they're called nightcaps. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so who are we gonna go see now? Are we gonna go see super armored man, or the port master.
Your choice.
This one was my choice.
Okay, someone else choose. Ziden? Max?
If
Mara?
Honestly, if
you're considering this armed man, if he is someone difficult, at some point he would probably start to become aware of our actions, having helped Bell and company, so it would be better to search for him now before he has a chance to hide.
Is that the bar place that Hikan wants to talk to the guy at on the way?
I'll stick with the party. Just kind
No,
of
I was
keep it
saying
up.
like we could pause on the way for you to talk to him.
Oh yeah, no. It's if we see Roto or through town, because he said that
Yeah.
he'd be in Sarkosa for a couple of days, then I'll head over. But
It's like if we spot him on the way, then we'll stop and talk to him.
perfect.
Fair.
Okay. So, you go on the hunt for the super armed man. Make investigation rolls.
Who's helping me?
I got a 21.
Then, never mind.
I got a 16.
That's
It's
a
nice.
nature.
That is a nature.
9.
I got a 2.
Wow.
That's a natural.
Well, it's the same modifier, so you could use the nature one.
Yeah, I'd allow the nature one since it's the same modifier. But yes, so with 21, Ziden, you as a lot of you are kind of wandering through town, you head towards the area where your bird said that this man was. And as you turn a corner, you do manage to spot someone who looks very, very well armed, and there's a part of you that kind of feels slight disappointment and what's the word? Frustration when you see this individual. He's wearing what appears to be studded leather armor, and he stands fairly tall, around about 6 foot. Strapped to his back appears to be a brilliant blue javelin, and on his hip is a rather nice looking longsword. And as he turns, he sees you, and as he turns, he sees you, and Bruno just goes, "Oh shit!"
Oh, come on, not you.
I've forgotten which one Bruno was.
The guy who
Rock-throwing man.
The blockhead.
The one you scared to death by being a giant spider.
Oh yes. All the way back there.
How?
Eyes just narrow.
He like turns to the person he was talking to and goes, "I have to go," and he immediately turns and walks away from you like it's as shittily non-discreetly as he can.
In response to him trying to walk away, I am going to summon.
Doesn't have to summon anything. Hikan's already in front of him.
Like as you appear in front of
You
him,
summon the Hikan in front of him.
like
Summon Hikan.
he stumbles back and his hand rises up to try and grab the javelin, but then he stops and is like, "Right. Hello."
Hi.
Didn't we throw you in prison?
You did. Very astute of you. But I'm not doing anything bad right now. If you can believe it.
To be frank, no.
Well, yeah, that's fair. But the thing is, I really am not doing anything bad.
Should he even be out of prison by now?
Does my 21 tell me if he's actually doing anything bad?
There is a significantly obvious amount of nervousness in the way he carries himself. You can't it could be a mix of saying that maybe he himself is not sure of whether or not he's doing anything bad, or alternatively, he's just nervous to see the cadre of individuals who beat the shit out of him the last time he encountered them. It's difficult, it's clear that he's maybe lying about something, but you're not sure exactly what it is, because you feel like there's a multitude of things he could be lying about in the way he carries himself.
Just gonna continue to glare at him.
Hikan takes a deep breath and exhales slowly and says, "I'll forgive you for throwing the boulder at me if you'll help us with something."
Oh no, Hikan, what are you doing?
He kind of weighs his options. He scans over everyone else in the group. It's
I'm just gonna stand in the background and be menacing.
He takes note of each of you, and then he looks at Mara, and his head tilts to the side curiously, and then he looks around to see if he can find Sho or Tyrina, and he doesn't ask where they are. He just kind of assumes they are here and are just hiding in ambush or something, and it's just
fair.
Right. Well, it depends on what it is that you want me to help with.
Why does it depend?
Well, I don't know if it's something that I can do or anything like that. I mean, for crying out loud, that guy turns into spiders, and you can do magic and shit. I'm just a guy.
I can't do magic. They can do magic.
Well, you might as well do magic. You can run a bloody mile in a blink of an eye. That's pretty freaking magical, mate.
Don't worry, I don't just turn into spiders. Now I summon them.
Well, that's comforting. It really is comforting, isn't it?
How long have you been here?
2 days.
2 days. Okay.
And before that, where were you?
Well, I was in prison, but I decided... Well, I didn't decide. It was more or less apparent from the start. Prison sucks, but the thing is, it's that... I mean... The whole... something happened, right? Something happened with... a nobleman or something, and I don't know exactly what the details of it are, but it gave me an opportunity to leave, and so I did. And then I decided to go north, and I realised that, well, you guys are still around, and I didn't fancy my chances on this landmass anymore, so I decided to maybe get a job on a boat. And, well, I've been here for 2 days, and things are... Well, they're still waiting to leave port now, and...
And here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
So, do you want to try and maybe make the trek back to Hyrule Castle and give yourself up, or do you want to go and get into prison here?
Well, I'd rather get an honest job on a boat, but apparently that's not an option now, is it?
Not really, no.
Hikan gets uncomfortably close.
Hello.
Do you mean it when you say honest job?
Well, it's I mean, no self-respecting pirate is going to want to come into this port, are they?
There's a difference between sitting there and doing it, or hopping on a boat and going to Hala Ding Dong or Libraria and doing the same thing you were doing just there.
Well, I mean, what if they're big continents? What if they have people who are like you? Listen, mate, you guys scare me, and it's...
Good. I mean, what? No. That was out of character. That was out of character.
Renji would have done that.
I continue to be menacing.
I just got a couple questions for you.
Alright.
That's it. Just one quick question since you've been here a couple of days. Have you seen anybody carrying something like this? And I show him the dagger hilt.
He kind of lifts his hands like, well, I haven't seen anybody carrying a dagger, but I've seen one person carrying a symbol that looked like awful lot like that.
Could you show us where you saw him?
Well, it was. I bumped into him on the way up to Sarkozy, you see. He was. It's not really difficult to miss him. I mean, he's a big pink flamingo bird person, so.
Really loud.
Max twitches when he hears bird person.
Do you have a name?
Well, he called himself Flamgo, I think.
No. Actually, this is a good opportunity.
You're lucky we hate this guy more than you.
Oh, that's beneficial, I think.
Yeah, could you tell us where you last saw this fellow?
Well, I tried going up to Drumnik first instead of Sarkosa, and I think I bumped into him like a day's worth of walking from Rigenstead, and then I decided, you know what? I don't think so. I've heard stories that Lord Whitestone's other son is in Drumnik as the guard captain, so I think I just turn around to go back to Rigenstead and go to Sarkosa maybe, but I bumped into him. He was in this little magical shack thing. He had a bunch of pets, and he wanted to try and sell me a big thing, but I didn't really want a big thing, and he just kicked me out.
That's actually one of the wisest things you've ever done.
Well, thank you. I do try my best.
That's one of the least wise things you've ever done.
Well,
This was when you were going to Sarkosa, yes?
yeah.
So he was going towards Rigenstead,
I think.
or had a shack over there.
I don't know. It's not often you bump into a whiz robe.
Okay. Hikan clutches the Book of Mutora a little bit closer and is very, very thankful that he got it from that damn flamingo. Okay. If I hear you do anything like you did before, I'll run across the water and I will drag you back.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Don't say.
You probably will by the time we get to that kind of problem.
Okay.
I'm working on it. I can, fall from really high spots and be okay. You wanna see?
No, it's alright, I believe you.
Hikan snaps.
If you just let him demonstrate, it goes by quicker.
I mean, look, before I met you guys, I was Bruno the Boulder Thrower, right? I was the strongest person in all of Hyrule, and then suddenly...
Well,
no, have you met...
that's kind of cheating.
Well, I mean, it wasn't wrong, was it?
Well, now...
What you did was very wrong, yes.
No, I mean, I'm not wrong,
that's true.
regardless of whether or not I was... Look, alright, let's just... Right. I won't do anything bad. Being on a ship is... I promise, it's a sweet gig on a ship.
Promise?
Do I have to? It seems really undignified.
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
And are you
Hikan pulls out 2 of the gold that Renji gave him back because the gold hasn't been divvied up from the rest of it yet.
Yeah.
Gives it to Bruno.
What?
Says, I know that you're trying to make changes, and I can respect that. I'm still angry about the boulder, because that hurt.
Mm.
And I was told I could throw things back, and I couldn't throw things back because it was a big boulder. But that's a me thing. It's not a you thing. So, we won't bother you while you're in town. We're just gonna take a look around. If you see anybody else with those, come let me know. And go get yourself something to drink, okay? And Hikan will give him the 2 gold.
He kind of like looks at the gold, puzzled, and then he says, "Yeah, all right, I could do that. I think. Yeah, like, I mean, I would ask where you'd be staying, but I'm gonna go ahead and guess that it's more of a I won't find you, you'll find me sort of situation. So I'll just stick around until yeah."
I mean, we found you here, didn't we?
Yeah.
Hikan smiles and walks back to the rest of the party.
Why did we have to run into that guy?
I don't know. It's good seeing somebody that we beat the crap out of, like, try to do better things with themselves, and we can encourage that and
He's
use
not
that.
He's not going to do anything good. I'm sure of that.
We'll find out, won't we? Hikan smiles and, like,
that is fair.
looking over his shoulder, waving towards Bruno. As
He offers a scared, sheepish wave. Just like still kind of shaken that the encounter has happened. And it's just like, oh, right. And he's like looking around himself, like, what do I do now? What the hell do I do now? So, after your encounter with Bruno, do you have anything else you wish to do?
Time's it in game?
It's around about 4 o'clock. You have a couple of hours before sunset.
I guess try and find the guy who Khan wants to talk to, and then maybe turn into the night.
yeah, it's just a quick thing, kind of run around town, see if I can find Roto, see if he knows anything about the symbol,
Okay.
for the sake of brevity.
Make an investigation check.
Alright, here we go. 6.
Okay. Sadly, through your investigations of looking around, it's not big. It's not as big as Hyrule Castle Town. It is fairly sizable, and it's difficult to. It's difficult to find someone.
You're cutting out quite a lot.
Oh, sorry.
It's getting quite late. Shall we come?
Yeah. I'll finish this one off, and then we'll call it for the day.
If you can finish with that cutting.
If I can. I mean, people on my end will be able to hear me anyway.
That's good.
Yeah. So, you have a look around. You can't seem to find the guy. He's kind of lost within the crowds. So, after an hour and a half of searching, you decide to just kind of say, well, he's here for a couple of days. We'll try and find him tomorrow. And thus you head back to the Sarkoza Inn to deal with your rooms, and we will call the session there for the night because it is late, as said. And
Can
also,
we very quickly divvy that money we got up before we forget about it?
yeah, sure.
That's true. We will do that.
There's 200, is it?
Yeah.
That's 40 for everybody, because Mara was in danger, and Hikan would insist on that.
Why would we not give it a share? We gave
More
her
money
a
for
share.
us, but yes, we do.
Okay.
Given that Ziden is now sitting on over 600 gold, I don't think he cares too much.
bloody druids not needing to buy shit.
He's saving for retirement.
Retirement from what?
Life.
Druid?
As a druid, you'd be saving for retirement forever.
Yeah. Get to level 20, you don't die. Like in many instances. But anyway, thank you everyone. So yeah, so it's 40 gold for everybody, and thank you everybody for listening and watching. I hope everything was going okay. We lost a lot of frames during that. I will eventually figure out a way to figure out what's going on. But in the meantime, I am ArticulateT, the Game Master, and with me today I have had Renji, Heir of Nihilus, being played by TheNetherlad.
Good night.
I have had Hikan Sio being played by Alvarance.
You better do good.
I have had Ziden Shari being played by Robopirate.
Farewell, people.
And I have had Max being played by Keistrith.
Damn you, Flamgo.
And we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.